Thank you, Sling. Good morning, everyone. Before I read
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever for you to make us strong.
Good morning, everyone. Again, today we are from ASEAN Migrant Coordinating Body. It's the umbrella of the different nationality of organization of migrant domestic worker in Hong Kong. Today we want to submit a petition to the Chief Executive of Hong Kong regarding our demand. And also today is the International Domestic Workers Day, which is internationally through the ILO, International Labor Organization. They recognize domestic worker as work and also how to provide additional work for domestic worker. So today we are come from different groups, Thailand, Nepalese, Philippines, Indonesia, come together to submit our petition. Why we are come today? What our demands? So not for taking longer, I would like to call our friends from Overseas Nepalese Workers Association, Mingma. Mingma is also a domestic worker helping Nepalese domestic worker in Hong Kong, and then she would like to share about what the current condition of Nepalese domestic worker in Hong Kong, and then what the demand.
Namaste, I'm Overseas Nepali Workers Association. I'm just here today is like आज हामी माइग्रेन्ट डे को अवसरमा हामी हाम्रो साझ समस्या र संस्थागत समस्याको समाधान हङकङका सरकार समक्ष पेश गर्दछौँ। हामी समक्ष कोभिड-19 पेन्डेमिकको समयमा बिना कारण कामबाट बर्खास्त गर्दैछ इम्प्लोयरहरूले उनीहरू लामो छुट्टीमा जान्छन्। घरेलु कामदारलाई टर्मिनेट गर्ने र बिना तलब छुट्टी दिने समस्या भोग्नु परिरहेको छ। Hello everyone, I'm going to say in English. Long live international solidarity. On behalf of Overseas Nepali Worker Association, Hong Kong, would like to impress on the occasion of today's Migrant Day. We are representing to the government of Hong Kong, the solution of our common problem and institutional problem in front of us. COVID-19 during the pandemic, the emulators and dismissing without any reason from our job. The employer take a long vacation, and we are facing problems like terminating domestic workers and some of them giving unpaid leave. We, the migrant workers, are not immune and the effect of inflation in Hong Kong. But the Hong Kong government has been providing various relief for the permanent Hong Kong citizens. But we, the migrant workers, are not getting that relief package, so we demand increase our salary. Thank you. And also, we are some of employees receiving lower wages than a minimum, and also no public holidays. Even Sunday holidays, they have to work until 10 or 11, and then only after they have a holiday. After that, only go 7 to 8 o'clock and then do again work. So we are requesting to the government to do something for migrant workers. At least we have a good rest. So next day we can do a better job for the employer. Thank you so much.
We know that for the decade, the condition of migrant domestic worker in Hong Kong is not changed. And it's getting worse, especially during the COVID-19 outbreak in Hong Kong. Many of migrants doesn't get any rest day. Every time there is outbreak of COVID-19, the government always call migrant domestic worker to stay at home, to stay at employer house. And we know that we also targeting as the criminal, because many of migrant domestic workers go home because they accuse them as a job hopper. So this is the real condition that for many years we try how to talk with Hong Kong government. We try to do dialogue, but against the policy doesn't change, and that's why we also will call our friends from Thai. Is Faluni will talk in Cantonese to express their demand to Hong Kong government.
早晨各位，我係香港啦，我代表係泰國，但係我廣東話啦係，因為咧係香港嗰啲勞工咧打工嗰啲咧，佢時間翻工依家真係好長，係COVID-19咧冇乜放假，係長期係個休息，但係咧休息就冇乜休息，但係咧佢要係嗰度屋企咧冇乜出街啊，冇乜去街啊，同埋咧係長期翻工，但係冇乜人工，同埋冇加人工到俾佢，同埋咧依家咧係佢係香港咧俾嗰個5000蚊，但佢哋完全都冇份，咁佢都想有咩保障俾佢啊，或者點啊咁樣咯，係啦，因為佢哋打工咧，佢完全乜嘢都冇，係啦，佢就係老闆俾佢幾多食幾多，佢自己冇乜休息啊，冇乜瞓覺，時間休息得少，係啦 ，OK。Thank you， ขอบคุณมากค่ะ
Yeah, we are. The decision of the Hong Kong government exclude migrant domestic worker from finance scheme for subsidies. It's really hurting 390,000 migrant domestic worker in Hong Kong. Our contribution in Hong Kong to save the society from COVID-19, to help family in Hong Kong so the employer can continue to go to work, the children can continue to go to school. But against our contribution in Hong Kong doesn't seem in the eyes of the Hong Kong government. We know that we are very hard working in Hong Kong. We sacrifice our day, we sacrifice our rest day, and for almost 3 years, our salary in Hong Kong is freezing. So I will call Dolores Baladares, is from United Filipino Migrant Workers in Hong Kong.
Thank you, Sring. Good morning, everyone. Before I read our statement, the statement of Asian Migrants Coordinating Body that we will submit to the Central Government Office, we would like to say that Filipino migrant workers are also suffering from the problem of pandemic in Hong Kong. For the almost 3 years now, there are 25 to 30,000 Filipino workers lost their job in Hong Kong. They were forced to go back to the Philippines because they have no work in Hong Kong, and also they were also victim of injustice by saying they are doing job hopping in Hong Kong, just like the other workers here. So this is one of the great issues that we are pushing with the Hong Kong government, aside from the major issues that we want to raise now for a call for the living wage. So this is our letter to the Honorable Carrie Lam, Chief Executive, Hong Kong SAR. Hong Kong has retained its ranking as the world's most expensive city to live in as an expat, according to the top global financial analyst Bloomberg. Hong Kong is also Asia's world city, and such honor attracts millions of businesses worldwide, while making Hong Kong a first-class city. Despite of the rain, it will not stop us in doing our submission today. And then Hong Kong employed over 339,000 migrant domestic workers, enabling more local people with a household to be gainfully employed, thereby contribute to the local economy. Migrant domestic workers contribute to the Hong Kong economy by taking household jobs that releases Hong Kong women from the bondage of housekeeping and taking care of their families. Moreover, no matter how low our salaries may be, every cent that we use for our food, clothing, personal hygiene, transportation, communication, and miscellaneous goods that we send home to our families account for some percentage to the local economy. Notwithstanding that our salaries are one of the lowest, if not the lowest, in Hong Kong. This becomes magnified when our population of over 339,000 is taken into consideration. However, we would like to say we remain to be vulnerable in terms of our employment and living condition in Hong Kong. This can be easily proven during the COVID-19 pandemic, wherein we left outside the Hong Kong government's protection and the social cultural support. Our workload was increased due to the work at home and online classes for our employers and their children, on top of the lack of proper food and improper accommodation. We were prevented from spending our rest day outside of our workplace, which is our employer's house. Terminated when suspected or proven to be infected of the virus, and most unfortunately, we were stigmatized as virus carriers. Indeed, the pandemic has shaken the economy of Hong Kong and its people, but we, the migrant domestic workers, were affected as well. Prices of commodities and services in Hong Kong have surged, but government was not able to provide relief to the migrant domestic workers, only to its citizens and some other groups. Unfortunately, our groups were left out. For almost 3 years, our group, the migrant domestic workers, were left out. We are exempted from claiming consumption vouchers when almost everyone else is eligible. Our current minimum allowable wage is 4,630 per month, only translate to measly $31.15 per hour based on 16 hours workday, and is merely 50% as compared to the study of Oxfam of $54.70 per hour as daily wage of the workers in Hong Kong. This situation, this condition of migrant domestic workers in Hong Kong is getting worse, and we believe that the Hong Kong government can do a lot. They can decide, they can give comfort and support to the migrant domestic workers if they want to. And I think it should be the proper thing that the Hong Kong government must do, not only say in words that migrant domestic workers are contributing a lot in the economy. Migrant domestic workers are helping the family and the old people of Hong Kong. We need concrete support by providing financial assistance, by including in giving vouchers not only to the residents of Hong Kong and some selected groups, but to include migrant domestic workers in providing all assistance during the pandemic. We are part of this society. We've been here in Hong Kong for many years, and we deserve to be given complete support, especially in this time of pandemic. So the call for the living wage of 6,014 is very, very proper. It's very timely, and we hope that the government will listen to the demand of migrant domestic workers in Hong Kong. Thank you.
We are not slave. Against, this is not the first time the Hong Kong government neglect our rights as workers, neglected our right as the human. We are the witness how government treat us as slave in Hong Kong. When the government promoting equality, is it happen to migrant domestic worker? No. When the government say that there is no discrimination in Hong Kong, but we are the witness that the discrimination in Hong Kong is much alive now. How the international city treating others, people who also contributing in Hong Kong as a slave. We know that our contribution is doesn't seen in the Hong Kong government, but we know we helping Hong Kong society. Again, this is not the last that we will speak in here. We will continue to speak on our behalf and also for the fellow migrant workers in Hong Kong. We know that discrimination in Hong Kong never ends if we just keep silent, especially during the Omicron outbreak in Hong Kong. We just abandoned by Hong Kong government. While they are giving away subsidies, money, they just forget us. This is what happened in Hong Kong now, how the Hong Kong government treat migrant domestic worker. And today, we will submit our petition. We demand our rest for the living wage in Hong Kong. We know because everything in Hong Kong is increased. from transportation, food, and all daily needs increase. We also face difficulties to have rest day because every Sunday we know many department from police, from labor department just attacking us on the park where we are staying. We don't feel safe in Hong Kong, even our rest day. And every time there is a public holiday, the Hong Kong government always calls migrant domestic worker to stay at home. So how we can stay in Hong Kong? How we can work together if the Hong Kong government doesn't help us? So today we submit our petition to demand for living wage, to demand to end all the discriminatory policy. In Hong Kong, we also face how the Hong Kong government accusing domestic worker as job hopper. Why only domestic worker in Hong Kong cannot change employer? Why they are sent back home? Many of domestic workers while they face a bad employer in Hong Kong. So this situation doesn't change if we are not continue to fight. So again, we're asking our friends who join in here to continue to speak up, to continue to talk with our government, with Hong Kong government, to listen our voice because we are in here visible. We're giving a big contribution to the economy and also for the social and also people in Hong Kong. So thank you everyone. So we will submit our petition now. Please the representative can come. Yeah. Wage increase now. Wage increase now. We are workers. We are not slaves. Wage increase now. We are workers. We are not slaves. We are workers. We are workers. We are not slaves. We are workers.
Untuk sejahtera bersatu tak bisa dikalahkan.